The Detroit Pistons just offered Jalen Duren a contract that made him feel like he was worth less than he is. Duren is 22 years old. He just made All-NBA third team. He averaged almost 20 points and more than 10 rebounds a game this season. He was runner-up for most improved player in the entire league. And the Pistons came back with a number in the mid-30s per year. Duren did not take it quietly. And now Detroit has a problem that could blow up everything they built. To understand how bad this situation is, you have to understand what Jalen Duren just did this season. This kid was a top 5 pick out of Memphis back in 2022. For his first 2 seasons, he showed flashes. He was raw. He was young. People debated whether Detroit made the right call drafting him over other players. Then this season happened. Duren played 70 games. He averaged 19.5 points per game, 10.5 rebounds, 2 assists. He shot at an elite percentage near the basket. His player efficiency rating was 25.8. That number puts him in the same tier as all-stars across the league. He made All-NBA third team. He finished second for most improved player in the entire NBA. Second, in the whole league. This is not a guy you underpay. This is not a guy you lowball. He is 22 years old and he just proved he belongs in conversations about the best centers in basketball. But the Pistons came to the table with a different idea. Detroit offered Duren somewhere in the mid-30s per year. Duren wants around $40 million. That gap sounds small on paper, but in the NBA, that gap is a statement. That gap tells a player exactly how much his team respects him, and Duren heard the message loud and clear. Reports from inside the league broke Sunday morning that Duren was underwhelmed by Detroit's offer. Not just disappointed, underwhelmed. That word matters. It means he looked at the number and thought, "You have got to be kidding me." His teammate Cade Cunningham went on record saying he wants the Pistons to keep Duren. Cade knows what he has next to him, a 22-year-old All-NBA center who can score, protect the rim, and run pick and roll at an elite level. That is a career-defining co-star. But the front office is not listening to Cade right now, and here is where it gets complicated. The Pistons think they have leverage. They just watched Duren in the playoffs. He averaged 10.2 points and 8.5 rebounds across 14 postseason games. His player efficiency rating crashed from 25.8 to 14.3. That is a collapse, and Detroit knows it. So the Pistons are essentially telling Duren, "You were incredible in the regular season, but you disappeared when it mattered. We will pay you for what you showed us in April, not for what you showed us in May." Duren disagrees, and that disagreement is now a full contract war with free agency 2 days away. But here is the part the Pistons did not see coming. Because while Detroit was busy offering Duren less than he deserved, Boston was already making phone calls. The Boston Celtics just lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Philadelphia 76ers after blowing a 3-1 lead. They are angry, they are embarrassed, and they want to make a major move. Reports surfaced over the last 48 hours that the Celtics and Pistons are discussing a sign and trade. The centerpiece on Detroit's side would be Duren. Boston would send back Jaylen Brown. Think about that for a second. Jaylen Brown averaged 28.7 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 5.1 assists this season. He made All-NBA second team. He has 3 years and $183 million left on his deal. If Detroit gets Jaylen Brown for Jalen Duren, that is a win for the Pistons on paper. Brown is already proven. Brown does not disappear in the playoffs. Brown gives Cade Cunningham a running mate right now. But if Detroit lets Duren walk for nothing or gets fleeced in a bad deal, this is the moment fans will point to for the next 10 years as the beginning of another wasted rebuild. Now you might be thinking, okay, but why would the Celtics give up Jaylen Brown for a guy who collapsed in the playoffs? Fair question. Here is the answer. Duren would sign a 4-year deal worth $212 million to go to Boston. That is a sign and trade. The Pistons would get Brown. Boston would get the best young center in the game at 22 years old on a long-term deal. The Celtics need a big man badly. They just lost in the first round partly because they could not protect the rim in critical moments. Duren fixes that. This trade makes sense for both teams, and that is exactly why Detroit should be terrified. Because if the Celtics offer Duren $212 million across 4 years, and Detroit is sitting at somewhere in the mid-30s per season, the math is not close. Duren's agent does not even need to work hard here. He just shows his client 2 numbers and says, "Pick one." And free agency opens in 2 days. Here is the brutal truth about this situation. The Pistons messed up the timing on this negotiation. You do not wait until 2 days before free agency to lowball an all-NBA player. You do not use a single bad playoff run against a 22-year-old who just had one of the best statistical seasons any young center has put up in years. Jalen Duren did not disappear in the playoffs because he is not good enough. He disappeared because Detroit's offense around him was not good enough. When Cade Cunningham is the only real creator on your team, opposing defenses can plan for everything. They shaded their help defense to the paint. They clogged Duren's lanes. And a 22-year-old kid without enough weapons around him could not figure it out in real time. That is a team problem, not a Duren problem. And the Pistons are about to punish their own player for a system failure. Think about this another way. Isaiah Hartenstein just got $75 million over 3 years to stay in Oklahoma City. Hartenstein is a solid backup-level big man. He does not score 20 points a game. He does not make All-NBA. Jalen Duren is multiple tiers above Hartenstein, and Detroit wants to pay him less per year on average. That is not a negotiating tactic. That is an insult. If the Pistons lose Duren over a few $1,000,000 per year, it will be the most avoidable mistake this franchise has made since they let their last rebuild fall apart. Cade Cunningham is entering his prime. The window to build something real is right now. You do not blow that window by lowballing the guy who should anchor your team for the next decade. Pay Jalen Duren. Pay him what he is worth. And if the Pistons do not, then every Pistons fan watching this already knows what is coming next. Another 5 years of watching a team that almost figured it out, but got in its own way. So here is what I want you to decide. Detroit has 2 days before the rest of the league can talk to Jalen Duren officially. 2 days to close the gap between the mid-30s and $40 million per year. Should the Pistons just pay Jalen Duren what he is asking for? Or do they take the Jaylen Brown deal and blow up the young core? Drop your answer in the comments right now. I want to see where you stand. And if you are not subscribed yet, hit that button because this free agency is about to explode and you do not want to miss what comes next.